Hello and thanks very much for joining me again. Welcome back. This video is going to be slightly different to our normal ones. Normally I'm instructing as to how to put our kits together and assemble them or whatever. What I'm looking at today is completely different. I'm going to be, as I always am, just completely honest and straight with every single one of you and say that I've been meaning to try what I'm about to do for quite a long time. And what I'm looking at today is turning aluminium. Been meaning to do it for ages. I finally got round to it. Such was the success and enjoyment I had doing it that we thought we would actually make some blanks. So we now actually sell blanks for these, but that's not the purpose of doing this. It's really just to show you something different, because I hope visitors to the website and the videos will see that we try to do something a little bit different. It's not about putting a new clip on a pen kit and claiming it's a new design. That is, to be honest, pretty dull. So what we're looking at is aluminium, turning metal. Can it be done on a normal lathe? And the answer is very much yes, it can. There are, however, some inherent things that you need to be aware of. Turning metal is completely different to turning wood. The first thing you have to be aware of with metal is that it's a very good conductor. Now, wood is a very poor conductor, and when we drill a wooden blank or maybe in a acrylic, some kind of plastic, acrylic resin, whatever, thermoplastic, they get a little bit hot. They get hot on the inside. We generally don't, as wood turners, generally don't feel the heat because the heat isn't conducted to the outside. When, however, you're turning metal, aluminium is a very good conductor of heat, and therefore everything you do pretty much to do with aluminium, it's going to get hot. And that is a lesson that I'm telling you now because I learned it fairly quickly, and if you try this you might learn it too. You tend to only do it once, pick something up and then, yes, that's hot. So that's the first thing to be aware of. The second thing to be aware of is some of the shavings and swarf that come off either out of the drilling or when you're turning the piece of aluminium, is that it can be quite sharp. So when I do my turning, I use a glove to protect me from those two things, sharp bits of metal and hot bits of metal, or hot and sharp bits of metal. So those are the two fundamental things that you need to be aware of. Other than that, you can turn aluminium pretty much like you can turn wood. It is quite a bit harder. It's more hard work, but I don't really use any special tools for doing aluminium than I would to do wood. And I'll show you the piece I'm using. I've lost it. There it is. Right. The tool I'm using, and it's around the wrong way, as it always is when I do these videos, is our own tool steel. I wouldn't use your best and sharpest tools for turning aluminium, I'll be honest with you. It won't hurt it. I mean, we as wood turners hone our sharpness of our chisels so much. With aluminium, you don't really need to do that, to be honest. They don't need to be anywhere near that sharp. And the tool steels that we sell, high-speed steel tool steels, are way harder metal than aluminium. And they're actually designed for turning metal, so it's ideal for this, but obviously sharpened up you can turn wood with them as well. So that is the tool that I'm going to be using today. The turning is quite easy. To be honest with you, the most difficult part of aluminium turning is drilling the centre out. Drilling aluminium isn't particularly easy, and it does tend to leave, as you'll see here, as some I've done, that you might be able to see the aluminium deposit on there. The drill is still very sharp, it's just left a deposit because these drills struggle a little bit to get the swarf out, but they will do it. There's nothing special about that drill. It's got some kind of coating on it, but they were cheap drills from an auction. They weren't expensive at all. But we're going to go and look at using one of our drills. You might see it even more on this. So before we go any further, let's have a quick look at things I've done. I've done one of our keyring kits in aluminium. Because the metal's soft and this is normally dangling on my keyring, I'll be honest with you, the keys tend to tap against this, and it does mark because aluminium's a soft metal, but it still looks quite good. I started off with the most difficult thing. I thought I'd be able to do, and that is one of our mechanical pencil kits, because this has a stepped drill and a stepped mandrel, and I thought, well, if anything's going to fail, this will be the one that fails. But as you can see, I've managed to do that one as well. And as the video goes on, you will see me putting together this. This is an Elliott click pen kit. This has been turned and polished in aluminium. I think it's rather nice, to be honest. I just like doing something different, and I've put a little bit of detailing on here. It's quite nice to put the detailing on, and the detailing you can get on metal is far more intricate than you would get on wood. These little things here, you'd probably lose that on wood. You might be able to burn them in, but on metal it really works quite well. Now let's have a little chat about aluminium itself, and why we chose, or why I chose to do aluminium as opposed to any other metal. It's pretty much inert. I wouldn't suggest that you breathe in the dust when you're sanding it. Make sure you wear some protection. Really, when it's turned, sanded and polished, you don't need to do anything else to it. You don't need to add a finish to it, because aluminium, it does oxidize, and what that creates is aluminium oxide on the outside. Aluminium oxide is extremely hard and colourless, so basically it coats itself. If you want to add your own finish to it, obviously you can do, but I haven't done that with any of mine. The metal doesn't react with your skin. It just really doesn't do anything much apart from offer quite a different and pleasant turning experience, and a nice shiny piece when you've finished. And of course this is still very much a handmade piece. The other thing to point out is that the blanks that we do are two sizes, a 16mm and a 20mm. Just be warned, if you think you're going to get the large one for doing a small pen, you're going to have to do a lot of turning, and it's quite hard work. For pens and that, generally I would use the smaller one, but it is of course up to you. We do the bigger one just in case you want to make something bigger, like a handle with it. We do these blanks and they are round. The reason for that is because although aluminium is a soft metal, it is still much harder than wood and much harder to turn. So what we didn't want to do was start off with a square blank where the metal is continually banging against your turning tool, because that might damage it in the long run. But a round one, as you'll see me turn in a minute, I'm going to play back part of the video that I did when I made the Elliott click pen kit, and I'll show some of it in slow motion and some of it speeded up, because it's quite a long process. Probably took me, I would think, maybe 10 minutes of actual turning before I got to start sanding it. So that's the reason why we have the round blanks here. I'm going to stop talking. I know people say I talk too much, but I'm hopefully trying to impart a little bit of information and the experience that I've had so far in doing aluminium. Let's point the camera at the lathe, where I'm going to start off drilling this little blank that I've got here, that I've cut with a hacksaw, and see how we get on. Now, first of all, let's have a look at the end, and you'll see I've cut it with a hacksaw. It's a bit rough. I'm going to smooth this down just on the belt sander or the disc sander. Again, beware, it's going to get hot when it goes on there. It gets very hot very quickly. The lathe is going at just under 2000 RPM. The first thing I'm going to do is to drill using a centre finder just into the end before I drill the main core out of the blank. And you'll now see I'm wearing a glove to stop any swarf that comes out of here that's hot from burning the back of my hand. I'm also going to hold the Jacob's chuck when I'm drilling. And there you can see why I've been holding wearing a glove. Never ever remove any of this swarf while the lady's running. If this gets caught round here, this is very sharp stuff, and you can see it actually can be quite strong and that will easily cut you, so take some precautions when doing this. So I finally drilled all the way through. I started off, having read on the internet this morning, at about 2000 RPM. In my opinion, simply that's just way too fast. I'm down to 500 RPM, and I reckon that's plenty fast enough for turning, for drilling out the centre. What I'm now going to do is glue in the brass tube, because although this is metal, we still need to put the brass tube in. It's a great guide. The pin parts are designed to fit in the brass tube, not in your aluminium piece, and then we'll look at just levelling off the ends. So there we have our drilled blank. I'm going to pop that back on the belt sander just to smooth off that, and then we'll glue the brass tube inside. I've done the drilling, inserted the brass tube to the right length. I've trimmed mine up on the disc sander, but you can use a barrel trimmer. I've used both. I'm now going to set this between centres. You can of course put it on a mandrel if you want to. I just don't like them. I'm now going to take my double-ended tool and get it the right way round. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see slightly more what I'm doing. Right, let's get the tool rest in the right place, and we'll look at turning this. Now, the technique that I've developed for doing this, because aluminium's quite hard, let's just spin this up and make sure. My apologies, that was a wasp. Right, so this is one of our tool steels that I've made into a tool, but you can use any tools. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use an old skew chisel as well in a bit. This is going to be spinning at around about 2000 RPM. I've still got my glove on. Obviously gloves and lathes offer some danger anyway, but you'll see when I turn this what happens with the swarf when it comes off. Helps to clear some of this stuff out of the way beforehand. I think I'm still just slightly high, fractionally too close. There we go. And what comes off is a bit like tin foil. It's at this point you have to remember it's hot. And I just thought I'd show you the finish, if the camera will pick up on that. I'm not sure, because it's really sunny today, whether the camera will pick up on that finish. But what I'm going to do is now take this over to the polishing wheel and polish this up, and then we'll just stick the rest of the pen on it. So you'll see the mess that doing metal on polishing wheels makes. These have gone black with the other pen kits that I've shown you earlier that have been done on this. Now I'm going to use brown Triple E paste and just polish off. I've got my gloves on. Again, just be careful with gloves and lathes, they don't really go together. It's either that or I get absolutely covered in stuff. And here is the unfinished, and hopefully you'll see on there that we've got quite a nice finish just with that one. There's lots of different compounds you can use. Today's project I'm just going to use this Triple E and finish this one off. So I've come over to my other lathe simply because it's set up for assembly already and I haven't got lots of metal shavings and swarf here. Once we're happy with the finish we've got on here, all we're going to do is quickly assemble the pen kit, and this one is literally just push the end in and the rest of it will screw together. There we go, that is aluminium pen. It's next to gold. I thought I'd try gold for this one. I'm not sure that works particularly well, but the colours obviously you can figure out for yourselves if you like. I personally quite like black against the aluminium, but there we go. There we go, there is aluminium and gold Saria twist pen kit. You can make your own mind up about the colours, as I said, but there are others. But hopefully that shows you that turning aluminium isn't impossible. Drilling is probably the most difficult bit. Do take care with it, and you might get some great results. It's really quite fun. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time, and take care, especially with metal in your workshops. See you next time. Bye bye for now.